Astrology time, Shane, daily-astrocat.com. You ready? We're going to enter into the light today because that's our keyword. I gave it to you first, right? Why is that the keyword? Stay till the end, okay? This is going to be very deep, very complicated, and this is something you don't want to miss because this is going to have repercussions that are going to repeat. And this pattern is going to repeat repeatedly throughout this year and actually for the next couple of years, and I'm going to tell you why. Because our outer planets are doing some very, very cool things. Oh, my goodness. What is going on here? Hold on. Let's just get into it. The way we always do. It's Wednesday, and the moon's void of course at 1:40 p.m. Now, naturally, it's during this void of course moon in Capricorn that Mars is going to enter Libra. This is very important. Our void of course moons have been kind of important to us lately because we're not doing neither here nor there. And this is a very, very good thing for this one to be doing, okay? Because our moon is out there. The moon is our emotions, right? The moon is how we react to things and how we think. The moon is in Capricorn and is void of course. So that means the action is going to be very measured and very much detached. We're thinking professional things, right? Not only are we thinking career and professional things, we're also considering just the patience and discipline that it takes to get through things. Mars entering Libra, leaving Virgo is going to be very, very curious, okay? And it's first, Libra is the house of Venus, so Mars is going to feel naturally a little bit uncomfortable there, right? Because it gets lazy. Venus wants to take care of Mars. Mars doesn't like to slow down, but will slow down in Venus because it's opposite Aries. That's the domicile for Mars, right? So if Mars is opposite Aries in Libra, okay, we go from the individual to the collective, from one to our significant others. The contracts, the partnerships that we have. That's where marriage is considered to be the house of, right? The seventh house. Seventh house is associated with Libra. So we have these Libra things going on, the balance, the harmonious nature of things, the diplomacy, the wanting to be so good, the so charming too, right? We've got some Venusian things in here where there's charm, there's style, there's grace. A lot of times folks will knock it because it says, it can't make up its mind. Okay. Well, with Mars in Libra, you're going to be able to make up your mind. That's not the important part, though. Look, the edge is going to be knocked off, right? We've been collecting some facts and everything like that. We've been getting down into the granular details of what it is that we're doing and how we're doing. But now we're just going to be executing on that performance because that's going to be very important. Things become more peaceful. We are armed with information and opposing both Jupiter and Venus in Cancer. The moon is actually growing in intensity and in brightness as the light begins to stream in, that strange light from those wildfires and everything like that, right? We are building towards a full moon. So, full moon in Aquarius, right? We're talking freedom. What are you free from? How about other people? How about other dogmas? How about the restrictions that you place upon yourself to conform with society and what people think, right? Those things that are Jupiter and Saturn based, right? The rules of Jupiter and the institutions of Saturn. Institutions of Saturn and Aries, they're headed back to Pisces, right? It's retrograde. We can have a chance to go back and revisit what it is that's emerged, and we're going to get a chance to have that come out of Pisces and just wash that away. But for right now, everybody's sitting right at those beginning degrees of Aries. We've got Neptune and Saturn. We have, in that mini grand trine up there, the two air signs, Pluto in Aquarius and Uranus in Gemini, perfecting that triangle, right? That makes that triangle on top. Now, if you lay on the bottom with Mars entering Libra, that position between Pluto and Uranus and Mars makes a grand trine. Now, this is easy energy. This can be lazy, right? These trines, if you look at a chart, it's a beautiful little triangle on it, right? Yes. with the in the air signs, ideas, right? Ideas, innovation. This is going to overturn shit. This is going to be really, really strong. And it's really strong because the thing it's overturning us, our minds, our attitudes, right? We have to change. We have that eclipse coming up in Virgo that'll be probably within the next month after this full moon. And what we're going to experience, what we're going to feel, how we're going to experience this is we're going to experience this because it crosses the south node. That's where we give something up. That's where we have to make room for what we're coming into, the spiritual growth that we're going to be coming into when the next eclipse is in Pisces. This is very important because this pattern, right, if we put that small triangle that I described that is between Uranus, well, let's go, Pluto, Uranus, Saturn, and Neptune at the top, and we put it on top of the Pluto, Uranus, Mars, Grand Trine, right, the trine down on the bottom, that makes a kite configuration. And that kite configuration takes the energies that could be too easy flowing and throws a tension in there. It throws that dynamic tension between the individual and the collective, between the I am and the, I am and what we do together. The beauty of that Libra axis down on the bottom, right? Now, if you think about a kite, where does the kite get stabilized from? Well, it gets stabilized from the bottom. Where's it headed? Well, normally it heads towards that peak. So we've got Saturn and Neptune in that first part of Aries. That's a creation point. That's a very, very important point. That's where we basically are going to be claiming our sovereignty. And our sovereignty is over our dreams, desires. Some people say illusions and delusions. Don't let them fool you. It's about creativity. It's about dreaming and desiring. It's about stepping into something better. And Saturn, which is the limitation. Now, does that make those dreams more tangible? Yes, it brings it down to earth. But as I've said many times, Saturn is also that doorway out into the other rest of the universe. Before, the ancients thought that was the limit. You couldn't go beyond Saturn. We know that's not true. We know that's not true. So now Saturn becomes that place where that gateway, right? There's doors that are behind it, that veil, the mist, everything that's beyond it, right? We have Uranus, that electric fire starter in here too. And, not necessarily a fire starter, but hey, we've got a lot of electricity in the air. And we're going to be able to take and utilize that because we have Uranus in Gemini. Now, this depends on your charts, guys. Wherever this happens to be in your charts, take a look at it because these parts are going to be very important, especially where your air signs are at. Okay? Even if you don't have planets in air signs and it's not aspecting it, there's certain areas of your life that these air signs are in, and that's what that whole house system is based upon. So, with that being said, our color is an olive branch. Now, our keyword is light, like I started. And I said that with that moon out there, there's more light. We're getting more light. That light is coming in. It's crazy. Now, in a stretch of... is this a stretch in the sunlight or is this the big yawn? Ask your cats, right? That's what my cats do. They stretch in the sunlight and they go, oh, yeah. So... look, after all the hand-wringing that could accompany Mars and Virgo, and there was a little bit of it, right? You could feel where the nervous tension was taking us, but yet we seem to be in a place that's calmer and it's going to feel a little bit restrained, right? Because we're entering into Libra. Mars is not going to be quite so forceful in Libra, but it will be gracious. It will be diplomatic. Our actions will be much more diplomatic, much more gracious, and much more conducive to what it is that we need to do to adapt and go into this whole next cycle. Now, this isn't going to happen overnight, of course, because it's going to be there. There's a strange energy here, and the Sabian symbol for one Libra is a butterfly, an ideal specimen on display with a pin stuck right through it, preserved and impaled. I got questions about this because I'm just not sure. They say that this is opening the second half or the second hemisphere of the symbols, and I'm just not, there's a message in there, and I haven't quite arrived on what it is yet. Maybe one of you can drop it in the comment because it's just an interesting thing, you know. Is it a destination point? Is it at the beginning of that second cycle that's going to culminate in Pisces? And is that the ideal that we aspire to, or is that the legacy that we wish to leave? Is that perfectly preserved thing that's there? I don't think it's literal. I do believe it's very much like a metaphor for what it is that we can possibly accomplish, maybe even in a lifetime. I'm just not sure. Leave your comments down there, okay? Let's riff on this. Now, let me ask you a question. The implied Grand Cross doesn't materialize because, once again, we've got all those cardinal points, right? But now they've got the Kite. Now they've got the Trine, the air Trine, grand air Trine, and then that the little one, that talent triangle up at the top, right? Some people call it that, especially in a native chart. So let's think about, why is this recurring? Well, every single planet that passes is going to be going through that point. The moon's been going through that point a couple times. Those ideas that you've been having when the moon was in Libra weren't by mistake. They're by design. The changes that you undertook when that moon was in Libra and the things that you agreed to, even when the moon was void of course, weren't by accident, by design. Now Mars is the first planet. Mars is the lead planet, first planet entering this. It's going to be followed by Mercury, Venus, right? The Sun. We're going to have we're going to experience this every single time with a different planet in that Libra place. What is this going to mean? Well, right now we're ready to just blast off, right? That's some action happening. This is the revolution. This is where something's going to really shake up and change. And we have to make sure that we are stable in that axis in ourselves and in our relationships, and that we have it affect the world outside of us, right? It's a world of ideas. There's some ideas that are brewing there that we need to put out there. This is an idea. This is a pretty radical idea, but this is it's like where that kite string attaches in whatever planet is on that bottom is what's going to give that kite its stability to stand upright in the sky. Now, let me ask you a question. That butterfly, that specimen, what if that process for selecting that was flawed? What if it really wasn't as perfect? Who decided that that was the one? More questions, right? And what if this strange metaphor for trying to hang on to is something like, you know, trying to hang on to what we were rather than what we can become? Don't know. Like I said, leave it down there. A once living being being held in a state of stasis. Like I said, I have questions. There may not be answers, but I have questions. This is a talented community out there. Let's have a few answers. I dare you to watch this whole thing all the way through, and then just respond to what it is that I'm saying, what it is that you're going to be feeling. Because this isn't just for this year, okay? This is going to repeat next year, okay? And it's going to repeat when those planets that are in the Grand Trine and the mini Grand Trine are no longer going to retrograde back into Pisces. It's going to be all forward after that point. So we've got a little bit of place here where we're still testing that water a little bit. This is going to repeat. So whatever you're doing now is actually going to be solidified that next time it comes around, right? I just love that hand waving around. I'm going crazy. Now, a long Capricorn void of course moon begins as Mars enters Libra. Yes, and that happens tonight. So just be aware of it and be there for it. Be aware and be there. Put that in the comments. There you go. So let's be aware and be there. In 1965, on this date, U.S. President Lyndon B. Johnson signs the Voting Rights Act, prohibiting voting discrimination against minorities. Okay. And in 1928, we have a birth for you. It's Andy Warhol. He's the pop artist, the guy, right? You know, Andy Warhol, associated with New York City. Born in Pittsburgh, though. He did the Campbell soup, cans and the Marilyn diptych, which, you know, the Marilyn Monroe and all the different colors. That's one of the things. And then he's a film producer, too. Probably didn't even see him, but he says here, Frankenstein and Bad. He's born in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and he died in 1987, and that's all I got for you. So, a little bit long-winded today, but that's okay. Very, very important concept to get through, because this is going to repeat. Triangle on top of a triangle with the axis. The axis is going to be interchangeable, and it's going to be occurring over the next couple of years, or recurring, or how about that? So this is a very important point, something very important energy for us to understand, internalize, and to go with, because this is the flow. I appreciate and love every single one of you. Leave me your comments. This is a brilliant community. I can't wait to see what you guys have to say about this. I appreciate and love every single one of you. Today is a 7. Happy astrocatting.